Welcome back to Stay Lit with Lauren Lifestyle, where we live in our truth and let our light shine unapologetically. Tonight's guest is a true trailblazer who's lighting up the global stage, MKO. From corporate boardrooms to chart-topping stages, MKO is a Nigerian-born, Dubai-based Afro-pop artist, entrepreneur, and visionary. He's not only one of the most influential African creators in the UAE, but also a pioneer of Afrobeat in the Middle East. He's the founder of Art Fusion Night and the mind behind the world's first Afrobeat immersive concert and two-time Black Excellence Award winner. With collaborations that span from Puma to Dubai tourism and performances, alongside icons like Divido and Wizkid, MKO is reshaping what it means to be an international artist. Let's get into his journey, his impact, and what it really means to stay lit from Dubai to Houston, right here on Stay Lit. Hi, so thank you so much for being a part of Stay Lit. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, and thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm so excited to get into your journey. I just love creating a space to hear inspiration because it always not only inspires me, but also inspires viewers. And so I'm so excited to see.
Well, you have the right guy. I love to inspire people.
Yes,
I hope my story is inspiring enough.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Absolutely. Everyone has a story. Everyone's testimony is someone's textbook. So before we get started, I like to open up with the icebreaker.
Oh God, should I be worried?
Maybe it depends. Maybe if you get a good card or a bad card, we shall see.
Right.
Okay, so go ahead and pick your poison.
All right, let's go. Let's see.
So since you're the guest, you can go first.
Okay, mine says, how do you hope the people in your life see you?
Oh, that's a good one.
It is a good one indeed. Is this for me?
Yes.
Or, right, so I have to say how the people in my life see me, or how do I hope the people in my life?
Yes, the second one. How do you hope that people?
How do I hope the people in my life see me? I hope the people in my life sees me as a motivator, someone who empowers, encourages, and someone who shows up when they need me.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
I genuinely hope that's how they see me. And I hope the people in my life know that I value them.
Yeah.
That no matter who I've become today,
yeah,
I still see them since the day one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And just based off of what I know from you and just your energy really radiates a room. And so I'm 100% contest to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
You've got good energy too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mine says, when you imagine your happy place, where is it and what are you doing there? By the beach.
Okay.
I love the beach. I just came back from El Salvador.
Nice.
And I cried when I had to come back. So I do not want to leave. I had like two different vibes. So I stayed by the beach and then I wanted to stay in like the jungle forest area.
Right.
And just it was like the glamping, but the front of my room or whatever was the beach. So just like waking up to the sounds of the water.
Yeah.
That's my happy place. It's just so peaceful and just the nature is just so beautiful, and just to exist in those spaces, I don't take it for granted.
It's always nice when you can wake up to a view, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
I was in LA before coming to Texas.
Yes.
Just the multiple beaches.
Beaches.
Phenomenal.
Beaches are my favorite.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, and I love everywhere I go. I want to visit their beach because I think everyone's beach is unique and has different to offer.
Yeah.
Like El Salvador's sand was black, but it was so soft and squishy.
Right.
I think the U.S. beaches are boring, but they're like sand is hard and just flimsy, and it's just Dubai has good sand. So
Dubai has good sand. Yeah.
It
just depends on the time of the year that you come to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You don't want to be in Dubai in summer.
It's very hot. It's very hot.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for participating and opening us up. And
I'm glad I got a good card.
Yes, that was a
Yeah,
great card.
yeah,
That was a very good card. And I hope it opens for you to reflect within yourself, because sometimes we don't think about what we're thinking about or force
yeah,
ourselves to have those reflective moments.
yeah.
And so just get right into it. Before we get into it, though, I really want you to just introduce who you are. What is it that you do?
Yeah. My name is MKO. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm an art curator. I run a platform in Dubai which is called Art Fusion Night, where we showcase all forms of creative art. We offer opportunities to the, emerging artists.
Yeah.
And then we also have a platform called Artopia Fest. Artopia is sort of like a twist to Art Fusion Night, where we showcase established artists. I also run a podcast which is called Rigo Blends and Beats, which is a podcast by Shivaz Rigo in Dubai. The other person who does it is Steph London in the UK, Files in Nigeria, and a bunch of other people across the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a singer, songwriter, art curator. I'm passionate about art, and we sort of use creativity as a means to also promote travel.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so
Because
yeah.
traveling is art.
You have no idea the things
Traveling
you
is
could learn
art.
just by traveling, by meeting
Yes.
people such as yourself, and
Yes.
just hearing the the stories about them, and
It
just connecting
is.
to
I didn't even
to
think
them.
about that until you said it.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
very much so
Yeah,
art in it. I think, when you have a experience with a creator, it it should transform something within you. It
Yeah.
should give you a new perspective that you never saw before.
yeah,
It should just change your whole energy. And that's like whenever I travel,
yeah,
I just have a whole new perspective and gratitude
yeah,
just for the world, and
yeah,
like, wow, like the world has so much to offer, and I hope I get to experience it all. But even with like art, on every level, I really love that you touch bases not only in the music space but
yeah,
also in the art space.
yeah,
And with art nowadays, like it is literally so it opens up so many
yeah,
doors, and there's so many different ways that people can express themselves
yeah,
that's outside of like the norm when people think of art. And it truly amazes me when I do go to like art shows and things. I'm like,
yeah.
wow, like my background is in neuroscience. I'm like, your brain is
Yeah,
fascinating.
exactly. Yeah. And people always, when they think about art, they just think of visual art,
Yeah,
fine art, and
yeah,
it's like what you're doing right now is art.
yeah,
Being able to just freestyle and just come up with creative ways to have conversations with people
exactly.
there's an
It's an
element of
art.
art to it. And designers are artists.
Yeah,
Like in order for you to actually create
yeah, it's from
a
start to
dress or
finish.
whatever from start to finish, you have to then curate.
Yeah.
Sometimes you look at a blank canvas and you already know what you want to paint
Paint.
in your mind.
Yeah,
Do you get me? Or as a designer, you have to sketch before you create.
yeah,
And then as a graphics designer, when the client sort of tells you this is the concept, before creating, you're
yeah.
taking in all this information to then design. So yeah, there's a massive wide spectrum of
Yes,
stuff.
and I hope y'all hope that expanded in your appreciation for art.
Yeah,
As you were saying, I'm like,
an artist.
I always
Yeah,
thought that modeling is an art, but you saying it just kind of reassured my
yeah,
idea that like modeling is truly an art.
yeah,
Acting is an art.
yeah.
Movie producing, there's just so many different ways, and I just love when people,
Modeling, for example.
yes, are passionate about what they
Yeah,
do, and they just express it in a way that can tell a story.
yeah. I went to a coffee shop at the Galleria and I saw this group of young, group of guys who
Yeah.
were working, in this coffee shop. Most people look at them and they're like, oh, you're just in a coffee shop making as a barista, but there is an art to it.
Yes,
In
there
order for
is.
your coffee to be consistent every time,
Yes.
the taste to be consistent. And I saw the passion amongst these guys and
Yeah.
how they were interacting with each other.
That's
It just made me appreciate what they do
yeah.
even more, because if you don't enjoy that moment of you making coffee, how would you enjoy the bigger things when that time comes? You
No.
have to be passionate about the small things.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed that moment when I was getting my coffee. I was actually with my friend and I had to tell him that afterwards. Like, did you notice how detailed these guys were?
Yes. That's
Yeah,
cool. That just goes to show how, and again, as an artist,
yeah,
you you appreciate and look for like the small things and see how it all works together to
Yeah.
create a vision or a product or a concept or whatever
Yeah.
the different aspects is. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I really loved how you talked about that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
And so you kind of brought up art fusion.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what that is? What made you want to create this platform and how it brings different art forms together?
So I've lived in Dubai for over a decade, and I've come from a corporate background. I used to work with PricewaterhouseCoopers. I used to work with Lawrence Graham, which is a legal firm. But I'm a creative. This is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Now, being in that environment when I moved to Dubai, there weren't that many platform for emergent talents to showcase their creativity.
Yeah.
Now, I felt if I sit back and wait for these opportunities to be created, then the underdog would never be seen.
Yeah.
So I created a concept that I knew could be replicated, which will then lead to this whole ripple effect of multiple platforms for creators to showcase their art.
Yeah.
And that's how Art Fusion Night came about. A platform where we can showcase all forms of creative art,
Yeah.
from music, visual art, fine art, fashion, poetry, comedy, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that Art Fusion Night was one of the first platforms in the UAE where you could show up and there is something for everyone.
Everybody. That's
You know what I mean?
cool.
Like,
Yeah.
you could be into fashion, you could be into art, you could be into performance art, theater,
Yeah.
Broadway. So we brought all that into the platform, and that's what led to me creating Art Fusion Night. And then as a singer myself, I also got to perform on the platform.
Platform. Yeah.
Yeah, but I stopped performing at Art Fusion Night now because it's for other people,
People. Yeah.
not for me.
Yeah.
But when I started, I
Started.
had to use myself
Yeah.
to sell the brand.
Yeah.
When
To
it
show
got to,
people.
yeah, exactly. When it
Yes.
got to where I don't have to,
Anymore.
yeah. So I
That's
just,
beautiful.
left it.
And how long have you been doing Art Fusion?
Art Fusion Night has been around for about 7 years, and we always host it at the DIFC, which is the Dubai International Financial Center, which is the equivalent to your Wall Street or
Yeah.
in New York,
Yeah.
because they sort of target specific audience like corporate clients, etc. So yeah, we've been running it for about 7 years, and we have looked into other locations outside of Dubai as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how do you do it during a specific time of the year?
So there is a time of the year when most art events happen. It's around, in Dubai specifically, it's around March. And then sometimes in June, then November and December. So around those
Those
times.
times.
So we would do March or June maybe, depending.
Yeah.
And then November,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Then
So
December,
bringing in full
we do our end of year party,
party.
where
That's
we sort
cool.
of bring a bunch of people together to celebrate the journey for the year.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna have to come to something. You gotta have different.
You know me now, so you don't. You just need you got your VIP invite.
Yes, that's beautiful. And the connection and the energy that I could just know is just inspiring. Just to, I just love learning how people think. Like, how walk me through the process of how you created this, or what does this song mean to you, or like, what did you go through to get to this point, or like, why were you so specific in using certain tools or certain melodies or whatever it is that they're expressing?
Yeah.
Even if it's like not my cup of tea and I
Yeah.
probably have no idea the terminology you're using,
Yeah.
but I still want to understand the story and
Yeah.
the brain power that's
Yeah.
behind it.
It's funny you said that, because when I created it, being in corporate, I used to go for a lot of business networking event conferences. My last job, I was business development, which meant traveling, going for networking conferences, working on business plans, etc.
Yeah.
Now, I hated when I go to formal networking events because it's very uptight, and
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of people wanting to shove business cards in your face,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to create or curate something along those lines where people could come, network, connect, and collaborate.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be uptight.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a space where someone like you, who is a model. For example, scientist as well. You could
Yeah, like
be, yeah, exactly.
lot
You
of
could
different
be
things,
in that
right?
space and you wouldn't feel left out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's sort of the idea behind it as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love the intentionality and strategy behind it.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. If y'all are really loving what we're talking about, we're going to take a commercial break, but we're going to jump right back in as MKO shares a little bit more about himself and what he does. Hi, welcome back to Stay Lit, and I'm your host, Lauren Lifestyle, and we'll get back into our conversation with MKO as he continues to shed light on Art Fusion Night, and we just learn more so of the impact that this platform has had for artists. And so, MKO, if you could share with us, how have you seen Art Fusion Night impact artists and the creative community in the UAE?
I don't even know where to begin. The success stories is just perhaps what keeps me going.
Yeah.
That's why I still keep running it. One of the I'll just share some success stories.
Yeah.
So one of the guys I used to work with used to be a Somalian, makes coffees and stuff. And then our fusion night was the first ever exhibition that he ever had. And today he's signed to a label, actually to a gallery. Let me rephrase that. The singer in me signed to a gallery where they commissioned about 50 art pieces, and he had his own solo art exhibition.
Yeah.
One of the guys I worked with, his name is Victor Sitali. You can look him up. He's mute, and he showcases art fusion night, and his pieces are some of the most highest selling pieces when we auction them. And today he is on scholarship in the US by the UAE
Wow.
government. And I remembered when he first showcased our fusion night, one of the few things he said was he wished he had a platform like Art Fusion Night at the early stages of his career. There's another guy, his pieces, when he showcased with us, after his first showcase with us, he got to work with Art Dubai and Word Art Dubai, and he won Emerging Artist of the Year. And these were people that we discovered. And then I have singers who are now living in the UK when they used to live in Dubai.
Yeah.
And before they moved from Dubai, they became one of the biggest singers and producers in the Middle East before they moved back. So the success stories have, it's honestly phenomenal,
Yeah.
and it continues, and that's why we've been running it for about 7 years.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's really inspiring, and you can tell the passion
Yeah.
behind what it is, and it's like you said, you started it off. You saw. I always say like it's always bigger than me.
Yeah.
Even if I'm a part of what I do, I always do it for people that's after me or that is doing it, and they just need a platform or they need guidance,
Yeah.
or more importantly, they just need to be seen. Like somebody sees what I do,
Yeah.
and what I'm hearing is that it sounds like you see and you discover and you create a space,
Yeah.
no matter where they come from, no economic status, no race, there is no exclusion.
Yeah.
You just see the value and the art that they do, and you
Yeah.
just want to create opportunity for other people to see it in the hopes that it will blossom into something beautiful.
Exactly. And when I started, I used to self-fund it,
Mhm.
and well, I had the 9 to 5, which, I could afford to, self-fund it just so that the platform could grow and creatives such as myself could
Yeah.
have a safe haven or
Yeah.
a place where they could be put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But today we've collaborated with Dubai Tourism, Rwanda Airlines,
Yes.
Dubai Tourism, and the list honestly goes on. I could go on, and it would seem like I'm bragging, but I'm actually sharing our success stories
Right.
and stories and how it all started to a point where we could be getting these recognitions.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And so, what would you say your biggest challenges that you have faced building a creative business in a region that has such diverse culture expectations, and just wanting to be as inclusive as you
Yeah.
can?
Yeah. I think when we started, one of the, and maybe perhaps still now, is how do you convince people to come and watch the underdog?
Yeah.
How do you convince people to leave their, you know,
What they know.
spend their time and watch a guy who is not known
Yeah.
or a girl who is, yeah, like
Yeah.
how do you convince people? So we have made sure that, our marketing, our strategies, and the relationships we've built over the years, we've been able to maintain those relationships because putting an art fair together, building the stands, the stores, the walls, and curating that whole experience coming from some, funding that is ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to know
Yeah.
how much goes into that. And then perhaps you do that and then it rains or
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and then because there are times you can't even predict the weather.
Yeah.
And then you work with the wrong partners who do not share the same vision,
Yes.
and then it ruins everything. So
Yeah.
the successes is there, but the challenges is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just resilience or perhaps the passion that still keeps us going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you said, the passion, because we have our days where, we're tired,
Yeah.
or we may not be as optimistic as we were in the beginning of things.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes I kind of like to have like calm, tired thoughts where
Yeah.
like, I'm really passionate about it, but when you're mentally and physically tired, you just have thoughts that like aren't true, but they feel very heavy at the moment.
Yeah.
Where you start to second guess yourself, and
Yeah.
and so the passion is what continues to fuel
Yeah.
that the discouragement
Yeah.
that you may have, or the unmotivation that may come about.
Yeah.
And then also, like you said, those reference points and track record of like what we're doing is working. It's having an impact.
Yeah.
And whether if you're a believer or not, but how I see it is that if God puts me in the position to continue to execute what He has placed in me,
Yeah.
that He will always have a plan, even through the ups and the downs.
Yeah, you're right. Like, there's been times when we've been burnt, even by talent, by partners, by creatives, by people who work with us. But what can you do? You just have to keep going and give the next man the benefit of the doubt that, that was your experience with someone else.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the experience will be the same with the next person. So yeah, you just have to keep going.
Keep going. Yeah.
That's why we can be in Houston and say we want to test the waters here.
Yeah.
And have one of our editions in Houston. We'll probably get to that, but
yeah, absolutely. Well, we can go ahead and hop into that, because I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
To share the impact in the space and a platform, and like you said, bringing in the underdogs and creating that space for them to showcase in an authentic place, but also genuine, because like you said, a lot of that happens. A lot of people come in and they kind of create a story or sell a dream, and then they put artists that already weren't in a good position already in a worse position, and then they get discouraged, and then they not want to be a part of the next platform that come around because they've been burned so many times. And so I see Artie has announced that he is working on a special project to bring it to Houston, which is very inspiring and very exciting. So what does that look like, and what are you looking to execute?
What I've been blessed to have a couple of my collectors who are based here, and one of them is a good friend and a partner. So we've checked out a few venues without having to give away too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Checked out a few venues, a few people that we could partner with, a few media outlets, a few corporate partnerships as well. So far, this is still early days, relationship building stage. And then we already have a date because the venue is already sorted. So yeah, like it's exciting. And we know quite a few artists as well who would like to showcase in the US. And I'm just optimistic about the planning process as well as the execution of the event. So hopefully you guys can come out and check it out if you're following us on Instagram.
Yes, I think that is beautiful. And I love the connection. And like you said, relationship building, not only for yourself, but for the artist as well. Because now the US based artists will have those relationships with those international and vice versa.
Yeah.
And just keeping people in the loop. Because, you know, if they're in the US, they say, hey, this is going on.
Yeah.
And then if they're international or wherever they are, like, hey, this is going on, and sharing those spaces and things that they've learned. Because I'm pretty sure artists in the US journey has been different
Yeah.
versus their journey, and just sharing their experiences and things
Yeah.
that they've learned.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I really love that. And so you've achieved so much already. You have your hand in so many different hats. You've created such a firm foundation, and so I'm sure you want to continue to build on what you're doing. And so, what's next for MKO? Where are you going as you continue? You know, we've talked a little bit before the show. You say that you know your music brings the visibility to what you do, but you have so much more to offer outside of the music world. And so what is your end goal? Where are you hoping to go? And if you don't have one, because sometimes people ask me that, and I'm like, I'm just existing in the energy and the space that I'm in, and allowing it to create the path of where it wants to take me.
I'll tell you what, Lauren. Your method might actually be the best way to navigate life, because sometimes people plan so much, and
Yeah.
when things don't go according to
They get
plan, you
discouraged.
get discouraged and
Mhm.
disappointed. But
Yeah.
when you're just navigating through, but also still having that
Vision.
vision
Yes.
and focus, you have a higher chance of being less disappointed
Important. Mhm.
than someone who is a planner,
Yes.
right? But coming to me, I plan a lot, and I always get disappointed,
Yeah.
and sometimes I regret not planning
Planning.
as much.
But yes, it's a
Yeah,
balance.
so it
It's
has
a
to be
balance.
a good balance.
Yes.
As a singer, I released my first studio album in 2019 in Dubai,
Mhm.
and the album was sponsored by Dubai Tourism. On the album, I had artists like DJ Neptune.
Mhm. What's the album called?
It's called Diverse.
Diverse. Okay.
MKO Diverse.
MKO Diverse.
And I featured DJ Neptune on the album. I featured Adina from Ghana. I featured Dot Man from Nigeria. I think he lives in the US now. And Mansour, who's Jordanian.
Mhm.
The track with Mansour is called MKO Diverse. And I worked with a bunch of Emirati artists, Egyptian artists. So the album Diverse is because I actually featured people from different diverse
Yeah.
backgrounds. And being in the UAE, where I'm based, Dubai specifically, my audience and the people who gravitate towards what I do are it's very diverse. You
Yeah.
get so that's what the album is called. And now I'm working on my next project. I've released uh two singles from my next project.
Mhm.
It's called MKO Bump, and the latest one is The Man.
Yeah.
The Man is a work of art.
Yeah.
I like to say that my songwriting skills is probably one of my biggest strengths
Wow.
as a creative. I've written for a few people as well that was, you know, that most of you might know.
Right.
So continuing to sort of put out my music for those who are consumers of my music,
Yeah.
keep pushing that as well, whilst I'm going after my, pushing art fusion. Like, because the idea as a singer or as an artist is I want to reach a point in my life where even if I stop making music,
Yeah.
MKO would be a legend.
Yes. And it will be.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not. I don't want you to just remember me for my music. I want you to remember for me for the impact
Yeah.
I've made in people's lives, in the music industry, and in the creative space.
Yeah.
And I think I'm already a legend in Dubai, for example,
Yeah.
and in the eyes of those who work with me or who see me.
Yeah.
It's so ironic that even here in the States, Lauren, there might be a few people you know who are not known outside of the States, or even outside of Houston.
Yeah.
But everyone in Houston knows
Knows
who they
them.
knows who they are and
Yeah.
the impact they're making in the creative space. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I sort of want to be that guy and continue inspiring, elevating, creating, and just and hoping everything falls in line.
Yeah, and it is. You're doing a great job. Like you said, sometimes we kind of focus so much on the future,
Yeah.
we don't appreciate and value the present. And so, like you said, I hope that I become a legend. But I
Yeah.
liked how you went back. You're like, I am a legend.
Yeah.
And the words that we speak are so powerful.
Yeah.
And we focus so much on what we're striving to be. We don't realize that we're actually doing it already,
Yeah.
even if we're not where we want to be. And so that's beautiful. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you have you didn't give up, because
Yeah, thanks.
you giving up could have had an impact on someone else's story,
Yeah.
because you were a pivotal point. I feel like everyone has a place in everyone's life and
Yeah.
every story. And so I always, like I said, it's always bigger than me. And so the idea of me giving up and the impact that it will have on the people that I'm surrounded by now, but also future generations,
Yeah.
it's like, I can definitely catapult something. So why not use that space and the skill set and the value that I bring to
Yeah.
do that?
And you just never know. Like some of the opportunities I've had on this trip is based on the people that I have perhaps impacted
Yeah.
or supported
Supported.
in the smallest way
Yeah.
possible. And I didn't know that that small gesture has led to some of the amazing things that have happened to me on this trip.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes when you do favors for other people,
Yeah.
if they don't recognize it later in life or they don't acknowledge it later in life, you were supposed to be the vessel
Vessel.
that led to their success.
Yeah.
And them being successful means that they never had to come to you for handouts.
Yeah.
So in a way, you have succeeded by just offering that support to them. Do you know what I mean? So
Exactly.
yeah, like yeah, I'm just happy with everything that's working out for me
Mhm.
and appreciative of things that are not working out for me.
Yeah.
Learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so as we wrap up the show, I just want to say thank you so much for your insight, your energy, your story, and just sharing the light that you bring into this world. And I definitely hope that our viewers were inspired, and they just continue to seek more, and they also just continue to follow what you do,
Thank you.
and just see how they could be a part in any capacity, whether
Yeah.
they're artists or not.
Yeah.
But I always sometimes it's okay to live through people and see that even if they may not be an artist, but your methods and your strategies and the way that you just exist in life could be applicable to whatever it is that they have going on in their life.
Yeah.
So
No, well, thanks for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself on your
Yes.
show, and then the energy that radiates through you is it's amazing. And
thank you.
I don't think you should do anything to sort of dim that light that comes out of you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
hopefully we'll get to do this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I can come on your
Yeah,
podcast
hey.
and come to Dubai.
Exactly. And who knows? Maybe you could host our future shows.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Putting it
talk.
here
There's,
now, 'cause you
there's a
never know.
reason why this
Yeah.
came about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys like. And if there's something that was shared, share it in the comments, like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time. What a powerful conversation with MKO, a creative force who is truly living in his truth and helping others do the same across continents. From breaking barriers in the UAE to building platforms for artists to shine, MKO reminds us that purpose, innovation, and authenticity are always in style. Be sure to check out his latest singles, The Man, Bump, Calling, and Diverse, and follow him for more inspiration and artistry. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Stay Lit, where we keep it real, raw, and rooted in truth. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and stay lit.